Welcome to the Mindset RX podcast. My name is Tom Foxley, and myself and Mindset RX as a whole help functional athletes become or gain the champ's mindset. Today's show is, well, firstly, I'm going to say welcome back to myself. I've obviously been away for a week or so, just over a week. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview podcast in the interim period. They are a very good selection of some excellent podcasts, and I really hope you enjoyed them. So I'm back. I'm ready to crush the whole of this Mindset RX process and just kind of bring you guys up to speed with the kind of developments in the mindset world and keep you growing, because I understand like the listenership to this podcast is growing fantastically quickly, and you guys are obviously one of them. Or one of the listenership. You are one of these listeners, and it feels crazy to be speaking to so many of you. So what this is essentially a promise that we're going to continue this process and continue your growth as an athlete and a coach maybe, and as a human being as a whole, and keep on developing you, I think is the best way to put it, and keep on growing your mindset. Of course, if you want to kind of really take a big growth and a big leap in your mindset, then the best thing to do is jump on board with either the Inner Athlete Performance Camp or the Mindset RX coaching certification, which is just it's going from strength to strength, both programs, but the coaching cert in particular. So if you are interested by those, send me an email at tom@mindsetrx.com, and that will be we can get you on board with one of those. But of course, I'll continue to help you guys for free, obviously, as much as you can, while speaking to a few thousand people in this way. So today, in kind of spirit of what I've just spoken about, what I want to talk about is why good athletes never become great. And this could be you, and it could also be athletes you're coaching. And I think it's a really important story to talk about. So the very usual story is, or like a very familiar story, is someone will start competing or start training, and they'll become very good very quickly. Very competent. They'll start growing very quickly, and they'll have immediate success. However, they seem to get to a sticking point where maybe a year or a year and a half down the line, their progress seems to slow. But they put this down to just the fact that they're getting so much better, and progress has to slow eventually, which is true to some degree. But then it slows to such a degree that they notice other people either overtaking them in terms of progress, or that they see other people on social media who are just starting, who used to be around the same level and are now much better than them. And it's kind of a really disheartening process. And as an athlete who's been through this myself, I know exactly what it feels like. I took up CrossFit and immediately kind of excelled in it, to be honest. I was naturally proficient, or I had a very good background in training is a better way to put it. And I took it up really well. But then I got to a point where I just couldn't make any more progress. Like, all my lists stopped, all my my times on WODs, they kind of stayed the same. I noticed myself creeping down the leaderboard slowly but surely, and I lost the enthusiasm and the joy for training, which is probably the biggest thing there. I really lost that joy and enthusiasm. So the basic tenet of this story is not that you need a new training program. Whilst you may do, that's not the main point of the story. The main point of the story, and the kind of the very crux of the problem, is that further growth represents a huge degree of uncertainty. And that uncertainty is the thing that's limiting you. So you've got to look at it like this. Right now, you have approached an element of chaos, and I'm going to go paraphrasing like Jordan Peterson's view of, I say Jordan Peterson's view, like the view of chaos and order, which comes from Tao Te Ching and Yin Yang and myths of creationism and all that kind of stuff, but it applies so well. What you have, or what you've done, is you've entered a world of chaos, which is training, and this was basically the unknown. This is everything that is outside of your comfort zone, to put it that way, and you've taken steps towards it, and you've created order out of that chaos, because you feel comfortable in the gym environment. You feel like you're adept at training. You feel like you're normal, and it's a normal place for you to be in the gym environment. So that growth has now plateaued because of your refusal to re-enter the chaos, because the chaos has moved. You've created order out of where you are now, and now we've got to move that on. So it's this refusal to embrace the unknown and to embrace the hardship of the unknown that's keeping you stuck. It's your refusal to take steps into that, because it's damn right fucking scary, to put it that way. Like, it represents potential injury, it represents failure, it represents everything that could go wrong. And chaos is an awful thing. Chaos is everything we don't want in the world. To some degree, we think we don't want chaos. We think we don't want a lack of structure. Whereas, like, we think we do want structure. We think we want the world to be known, to create this kind of this worldview, the worldview that serves us, and the stories that we create about the world, and essentially our beliefs. This is a structured view of the world. So we think that by remaining where we are now, our subconscious mind thinks, is a better way to put it, our subconscious mind, that by remaining where we are now, we'll always be safe. But this is an illusion, because growth only happens as in an interplay between chaos and order. So you've got to take small steps into the chaos, and you've got to take like little moments into it, and then create order out of it. And this is a scary thing to do, especially for your subconscious mind and everything that the chaos represents and the lack of order represents. And this is why it manifests itself in behaviors that don't serve you as an athlete, or don't serve athletes who never become great. And it manifests itself in a few ways, and I just want to touch on them. Negativity is probably one of the biggest ones. You see everything, or athletes who never become great see everything as a struggle, as a hardship, as something that they don't want to enjoy, because if they enjoy it, they know subconsciously, their subconscious mind knows that they're going to grow, and they're going to grow into the next stage, and they'll seek more of it. So this represents itself as negativity, and the negativity keeps you stuck. And because the negativity is in fact order, and it's that rigidity and the rationalism of negativity that keeps people stuck. The other thing that can happen is people become overly serious, thinking that the serious approach to their training and the over control, you've got to look at it that way, the over rigidity and the over order of the situation is going to keep them progressing. But in fact it's not, because they've just created too much order. They're not embracing the chaos. They're not taking steps in towards the unknown. And of course we know now that it's the unknown that's going to give you the results that you need. The opposite side of this is that athletes won't commit. They will start missing training sessions. They will become uncommitted and inconsistent, and their training will plateau, essentially because their subconscious is fearful of success, because the success is the unknown. And if you don't know what's on the other side of success, then, well, let's look at it this way. What kind of let me rephrase that. You're going to have a whole lot more responsibility if you become successful, to yourself, to other people. You're going to feel much more pressure, and this is unknown. This is the chaos here. So we've got to create order out of that, and what your mind does is create too much order. Not too much order. That was the over seriousness. It creates not enough order. And it keeps you in this kind of this. It's ironic, because it's another form of order out of chaos, but it's only the comfortable areas it is. The other way that this can manifest itself is training with really shitty people and putting yourself in a bad environment. As we know, we're the sum total of the 5 people we associate with most, and it's these 5 people that dictate who you are. And we do this because it can be an order. First of all, it can get us to a certain point, but if these people are only at a certain point and will only stay at a certain point, you will too. So we refuse to take a step forward, because guess what? That's the unknown. That's the chaos again. So you don't want, your subconscious doesn't want to find out what it's like to have your weaknesses pointed out to you by people who are better than you, or athletes who work harder than you. The other thing that happens, or another thing, is uncertainty and overwhelm. Because as we've discussed, and this is a fairly obvious one, that it's scary to go into the unknown. It's scary to take steps towards that. And so it represents itself as uncertainty and overwhelm in the process. Like, oh shit, I've got a lot to do. This whole process is gonna stagger me, and it's gonna make me really suffer. And then it's going to be unable to cope with certainty as a whole, which is quite an interesting thing. But most of all, it represents itself as fear. Fear of success is one of them, but also fear of failure, because what is the opportunity to success other than the fear of failure? So that's what chaos represents. That's what disorder represents, is the opportunity to succeed and the opportunity to fail. And our subconscious would much rather keep us safe, away from failure, and conveniently away from success at the same time. And this is why we become stuck. It's nothing to do with the fact that you don't have the right program. It's nothing to do with the fact that your nutrition isn't as good as it could be. It's because you're self-sabotaging in various ways. And this is what stops an athlete becoming the best version of themselves. It's nothing to do with the external factors. It's everything to do with yourself. And once we change the internal narrative, then we create change in the external world. But it's not until you create internal change that external change comes about. And this is why you can try all the programs in the world. You can try all the nutrition plans. You can try all the mobility plans. You can even try mindset work that doesn't work. You can try journaling, but you don't really know what you're doing. You can try meditation, but you don't really know what you're doing. And you'll never get change. We need to seek internal change before we create external change. And we need to take steps towards the chaos in a controlled and safe manner. And this is exactly what we do in the Inner Athlete Performance Camps, by the way, and the Mindset RX coaching certifications. But you can do this yourself to some degree too. And you do that by taking steps in towards the chaos. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast, because it neatly frames everything mindset, everything mindset. We have to take steps towards the chaos, and it's the interplay between the chaos and the order that creates growth. And this is the classic yin-yang symbol, where they interplay, and located within each yin there is a yang. So if you enjoyed the show, please share it. Head over to iTunes, leave a 5-star review, share it on social media, tag me so I see it, and then it makes me feel great and my ego grows immensely. And until next time, I shall speak to you soon.